some breaking news this morning. We have received reports of a shooting at Freeman High School. This is a photo just coming in of students. It says all Freeman Elementary currently, or at Freeman Elementary currently. I am a junior, evacuated from high school, at least 4 shots.
An active shooter inside Freeman School. The shooter, the threat from the shooter has been eliminated.
We did not know when we heard the threat had been eliminated, we didn't know what that meant. Well, now we do. The suspect in the shooting at Freeman High School is in custody right now.
How did this unfold for you?
Well, I had gotten to school and I have a locker on the freshman floor, on the second floor, and I was doing my locker and I was about to put my things away and I just heard a loud pop. And I just looked behind me and the shooter, he was just walking down the hall very calmly, had a very passive face, and he was just had his pistol. And
team coverage of the school shooting from all across the inland Northwest will bring you the latest from the victims still in the hospital tonight, as well as the suspect, also Tom Sherry and Whitney Ward in the studio.
And now to recap, this fire began just about 3:30 or so this afternoon. It's burning off East Upriver Drive near the Boulder Beach area. It first broke out and it was estimated to be at 25 to 30 acres. You're looking at a live picture kind of at the Beacon Hill area. You can see that plume of smoke coming up. It has now grown to roughly 50 acres. The tough terrain, the steep terrain, making it difficult for ground crews in that area, and that's why they've called in air resources.
Authorities tell us at least one structure has burned. They do say that several other structures in this area are threatened. This, unfortunately, is quite a populated area, and we know that there are helicopters that are fighting this fire right now. Also, we are told there is at least one air tanker en route to this fire, which is a testimony to how big this fire is. They really reserve that kind of resource for a fire that they're worried about getting out of control.
Right, and if there is any good news in this, it's happening in an area where there are a lot of crews around that can quickly get to this fire. So we are tracking both level 3 and level 2 evacuation orders with this fire. So the level 2 evacuation orders, those impact a larger area, and the level 3 evacuation orders, of course, level 3 means get out now, a smaller area kind of directly where the fire is burning. You're looking at a map on your screen where those evacuation orders, the level 3 evacuation orders, are encompassed.
All right, we want to head back out to the scene now. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley on the fire scene with the very latest. Amanda, what can you tell us out there?
Well, a little bit of good news this evening. Just spoke with Eric Keller with DN.
We begin with breaking news tonight. This is the scene in North Whitman County where deputies are trying to get a suspect in an Amber Alert out of a house. This is happening in the small town of St. John. Fortunately, the little boy everyone was looking for in the Amber Alert is now safely in the hands of deputies. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jane McCarthy.
And I'm Mark Hanrahan. All day we've been tracking the breaking news in Spokane Valley, and now the story has shifted to Whitman County. It started at a home in Spokane Valley early this morning. Deputies showed up to find a woman screaming and bleeding from stab wounds. Her estranged husband, Justin Robertson, is accused of stabbing his wife and then taking off with their 5-year-old son. The story moved to the small town of St. John. Deputies found that little boy this afternoon, and they now say Robertson is refusing to come out of a home near, again, that small town of St. John in North Whitman County. A SWAT team and negotiators are at that home right now trying to get him to surrender peacefully. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley has been on this story all day. She's live on the scene in St. John right now. Amanda?
And we're still waiting for updates on Robertson.
5,000 acres in Grant County near Royal City. So far, we're told the Highway 243 fire has destroyed several outbuildings, no homes though. The images are just as intense from the ground. State resources are helping in the firefighting efforts. The Department of Natural Resources sent 2 planes to Grant County. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Hi everyone, I'm Jane McCarthy. We don't yet know how the fire started. We know it started last night. Tonight we're focusing on how people who are impacted can get help, how the landscape and the winds are playing a role in this fire, and also how it's impacting our air quality. So first, we want to get to the latest information on evacuation notices. About 25 homes near Smyrna were evacuated overnight. The areas highlighted in red on the map right there near the Wanapum Dam are under level 2 evacuations.
There are about 75 homes in that area. That means residents need to be ready to leave their property at a moment's notice.
And we want to give you a closer look at what firefighters are dealing with on the ground as well. KREM 2's Shayna Waldtower is live in Grant County tonight.
And Shayna, any updates on their progress tonight?
Yeah, thanks, Mark and Jane. Progress has been slow, but it's still been there.
Oh my goodness. A big storm smacked Spokane. First the hail, then heavy rain.
Then the urban flooding. This is Division, just north of the Spokane River and downtown flooded. Too much water backed up storm drains all over the city.
It gets worse. A fire truck got stuck in a sinkhole on the lower South Hill. Tonight we're all over the dangerous storms sweeping through our region. And we are tracking the heavy rain and thunderstorms across the inland northwest tonight. It's already causing some urban flooding. This is on Spokane's South Hill. We do know it's a similar problem across most of our region tonight as well. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Jane McCarthy.
Good evening. I'm Mark Handerham. We want to get straight to our Tom Sherry in the Weather Center. Tom, a lot going on tonight.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. The strongest storms have now moved to the north of the Spokane area. I'm tracking these storms for you. I'll have more on this coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Tom. We do have crews out in the elements tonight, including our meteorologist, Thomas Patrick. He's in the mobile storm tracker. And Thomas, how are things looking out there right now?
Hey there, Mark. Yeah, we've made our way towards downtown near the STA Plaza and reporting live from the mobile storm tracker. I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick. Back to you in the studio.
Some good advice, Thomas. Thank you.
Pullman mourns the devastating loss of a young man.
A campus comes together to support Tyler Helinski's family and his teammates.
Tonight, in this special edition of KREM 2 News at 5, we examine how to prevent and talk about suicide.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Jane McCarthy. We wanted to have a serious conversation about something affecting our community. Suicide.
We want to use tonight as an opportunity to give you the information and resources that could save lives. Police say Washington State University quarterback Tyler Helinski took his own life yesterday. Tonight, a memorial is growing on campus. We'll bring that to you in just a moment.
We also want to let you know we do have a mental health professional in the studio tonight to answer any questions you may have about how to talk with your family about these events.
First, though, from students to coaches to teammates, Helinski's death is being felt all across Pullman and beyond tonight.
Sports director Darnay Tripp is in Pullman tonight with how the young quarterback is being remembered. Darnay?
Good evening, guys. A day after the Cougs lost one of their own. Mark, Jane, back to you.
Washington, high Washington, the crimson and the gray.
As students cope with the loss, many are coming together to support one another on campus tonight.
KREM 2's Amanda Rowley is also in Pullman tonight outside a growing memorial. Amanda?
Good evening. Well, this cougar statue behind me not only represents cougar pride at Washington State University, it's reporting live in Pullman. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Amanda Rowley, live in Pullman. Thank you very much. Well, we are having a very serious conversation tonight. We don't often report on suicides, but it is important to talk about it. Suicide affects all communities, but it is preventable.
We want to take a moment to remind you that there are crisis hotlines to help. If you or someone you love needs to talk, Washington State University has a 24-hour hotline at 509-335-2159. There are crisis counselors who are trained to help you there.
There is also a national lifeline you can call. That number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, someone will pick up the phone at all hours. If you don't feel like talking, you can text 741-741. It's a free texting service that can connect you with a trained crisis counselor right away.
We also know suicide is a very complex issue. That can make it difficult to know how to help when someone is struggling.
2 on your sides, Whitney Ward joins us now with more on that part of our coverage. Whitney?
Good evening. Yes, it is certainly complex. That is kind of an understatement because each individual experience is so individual. Jody Smith here from Heritage Health. You can ask her your questions. We will do our best to make sure and answer them. And then on KREM 2 News at 6, I will bring back some of those most important key points from that conversation. So I hope you will join us. We'll be back on our KREM 2 Facebook page here in just a few moments.
5 months after Washington State quarterback Tyler Hilinski took his own life, his family says an autopsy of their son's brain shows evidence of CTE.
That is a degenerative brain disease often found in athletes and veterans. One of the things that makes the disease so difficult to understand is that it can't be diagnosed until after death. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley spoke with Tyler's parents about their loss, this new revelation, and the role football may have played in their son's death.
Well, Mark and Kim Hilinski, the parents of Tyler Hilinski. Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
And while we dive deeper into this story, we want to hear from you. Knowing studies show a link to CTE, would you still play football or encourage your children to play football?
So go to krem.com/vote or hit the Vote Now tab on your KREM 2 mobile app and let us know what you think. All right, we are joined now by Sports Director Darnay Tripp to talk more about this diagnosis.
Yeah, Tyler's diagnosis was stage 1 CTE, so it was on the low end of the scale. But doctors told the Hilinskis that their son had the brain of a 65-year-old, which was obviously very hard for them to take. Kim told the Today Show there weren't any verbal signs to WSU or to the family that anything was wrong, but there were subtle changes in behavior as detailed in the Sports Illustrated piece, being less responsive to calls and texts. Kim even texted her son at one point asking if something was wrong. Mark said, quote, "The reality is we missed it and we let him down." The slight changes in behavior began after WSU's loss to Arizona, where Hilinski played the majority of the game the Cougs ultimately lost. He told his brother Kelly that one particular hit in that game, quote, rocked him, and he struggled to cope with the loss, feeling like he let the team down. In light of today's revelation, I reached out to WSU for their reaction to the news. They sent a statement stating in part that mental health and suicide prevention has been a priority at Washington State University for a number of years. WSU has and will continue to follow best practices from the NCAA as they relate to mental health and suicide prevention, as well as continue to consult with leading and industry experts. The university had resources available to student athletes prior to Hilinski's death and has added to those resources since. They also have events planned to raise awareness in the coming year, which includes an invite to Tyler's family to raise the Cougar flag before their home opener against San Jose State, which takes place during Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. You can find the complete statement right now on krem.com. Now, one detail worth noting is that the school statement does not make any reference to CTE. I reached out to a school spokesperson on why the brain disease was not mentioned. They replied saying, in part, there is still much for researchers to learn about chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and this is an area of active investigation by experts across the country. As scientific understanding of the condition advances, Washington State University will continue to follow best practices established by the NCAA for concussion diagnosis and management for all its student athletes.
Meantime, the Mayo Clinic's discovery of CTE in Tyler Hilinski's brain fuels the efforts of the foundation his family started, the Hilinski Hope. Their goal is to generate funds and awareness for schools in order to provide more mental health and suicide prevention resources, while aiming to erase the stigma surrounding those topics. CTE didn't even have an official name until about 15 years ago, so we still have a lot to learn about it.
KREM 2's health reporter Rose Beltz has more on CTE and its association with depression.
Rose Beltz, KREM 2 News.
And just last summer, the Spokane Youth Sports Association ended its tackle football league. The executive director tells us they didn't have enough kids sign up for tackle football, and enrollment was on the decline for years. They do still have flag football for all age levels.
So we asked you, knowing there is a link between CTE, would you still play football or encourage your children to play football?
So right now, about 31% of you are saying yes, 69% are saying no, you would not allow your kids to play football. So it's interesting, we've been watching this poll actually bounce around. At one point it was 50-50. So I think people are really conflicted with the science, right? And the absolute love of America's football.